Shalom, welcome again at this session of premarital counseling, which we are doing. As I said, most of the time I've been doing just meeting couples, but I was led to be able to record this forum so that we can be able, many people can benefit. Those who cannot be able to come here physically, or we cannot be able to have a forum to sit with, you can also be able to access this information. There are also people here who have come to us in this church and wanted their marriages officiated, those that have been living together. So it's not only for new couples. This is also for people who have been living together and want to be officiated. I usually take them through the similar kind of training, and it is good that this training is both for the new couples who are coming together to live together as husband and wife, whom we shall join in this church, or also those that have been living together and need officiating of their marriages. Yesterday we had an opportunity to be able to look at the first training, the first bonding moment between me and the couple. And we have Jones and Felistina here. It's also good for that we have also used a leadership couple to be able to exhibit this sharing. I also gave them a challenge to continue to review. The same way, when those of you who have been watching, you can, some of them you don't answer immediately in the screen. It's just food for thought. It's food for thought that should keep you thinking whether you have exhausted a certain area and done it well. Then we also talked about the divine purposes of marriage. Anything that loses purpose, even whether it is an electronic, whether it is a machine, when you begin to lose value for it, it becomes null and void. And that is exactly what happens when people forget those 10 things that God has called you for ministry together. He has called you to empower each other, to enjoy life, to bring up children who can also occupy the land as business people, as leaders. When people lose those values, that's where you see people killing each other. All these issues that you are seeing about families fighting look like they have no cause of existence. So that is very important. So we also basically looked, the last session was also about how to create a strong courtship. 20 areas of courtship which are very important. If you create a good forum and foundation on courtship, it builds a very strong foundation. If you follow those things, I don't want to touch them again because maybe repeating myself for a long time. But if you go through the 20 issues about courtship, by the time you are wedding, you are actually going just to be enjoying a honeymoon. And before I come actually to the next thing, I just thought when I left that I had never mentioned this. Personally, I advise a minimum time of 1 year of courtship. These issues of 6 months, 2 months, and the Lord has spoken and everything, and you start rushing because you have money you can pay a wedding. It's not just about paying for a wedding or a cake or a dance group or an event. It's a lifestyle. It's a long life, and that time you must using the 20 things we talked about courtship, you must create an opportunity for you to bond with each other in all these platforms, socially, families connected with each other, you connecting with each other, dealing with issues that you need to confront, building your love and friendship without romance, being able to plan together the wedding. That's why also we have very, very funny weddings. Because people have not planned properly. They don't have time to plan. Events also need planning. So I usually advise then the visits. If you look at now what I'm going to share shortly, the first thing I want to share today is visits. If the visits are to be well done and spread, and they achieve what you're supposed to achieve, plus the event, I actually see it as 6 months, maybe 6 months visits for that to be mature, when around 4 months of a wedding preparation. That's why I'm saying around 1 year. And then, of course, before you begin those things, you must have known one another, because you cannot begin to take people to parents whom you have not even known. So that's why I'm saying again, at least another 4 months or that before that. Today I want to continue with the same. Basically today we want to share on 3 things, or let's say 4. As time allows, we can go to the 4th or 5th. First of all, I want to share about visits, how to handle visits. Once you are in a courtship, during the courtship, or you have already confirmed this is the person you are going to marry, we looked at the 9 dipsticks that you check, used to confirm your partner. Once that is verified, then it is important for you to come and see the pastor. Why? Because most of the people begin visits, and without this, the wisdom I'll tell you today, we have heard so many people back crashing. Others are sent back because they never came with the protocols that are needed. And there is a lot of warfare. Some people even start praying where there is no prayer needed, because probably there was a misunderstanding of the approach. And I'm not saying prayer is bad. Prayer is a key thing. I believe in prayer in everything. Chariots and horses are set for the battle, but the victory comes from God. So your chariots must be ready all the time. So this, the issue after you have bonded together, you have confirmed this is the person. Don't be quick to take people before you have really confirmed. There are so many people who make parents lose taste of because you brought so and so, you brought so and so again, You brought another one. So even when you bring another one, they're asking you, what happened to the other one? So I would begin by also saying, before you actually go to parents and involve your uncles and other friends, please confirm that the person you are bringing on board is the right person and you have taken time. However, don't feel condemned. If probably you had woken up early before Adam slept, and you pointed somebody and you took them very fast, it's not that you should feel very condemned that you cannot bring another. What you just need to do is to allow certain things to fade away. There are people who do it like a game. Last month, you brought this person. Even before you understand what happened, you brought another one. But there are times and seasons where couples' engagements break because of other things, even accidents. It can even be misunderstanding, or one of them backslides. One of them is challenged, or another one knows another thing they did not know. I would still say, and we also say this in marriage, it is better a broken engagement than a broken marriage. However, take time before you enter so that you don't blame yourself that you went too fast. The worst mistake, I say, is when you are careless and you keep injuring people and not being serious. But if you are a victim and all of you tried your best, then hiyo ndilo nasemanga, you have done your best and there is no condemnation. But if you are just doing it intentionally because you are fleshy, you don't even know whom you are going to marry because you have seen so many good people. Even when you marry, they will never end. The good, handsome young men and beautiful girls or ladies will never end. Even when you marry, you must just settle in your heart that this is the one that God chose for me. So once you are through with the courtship, or you have a confirmed, during the courtship, I cannot be able to tell you when your visit should begin, but when I say when the relationship is mature and confirmed. Those two words. A relationship is mature. You can confirm about a relationship. You can confirm, but the relationship is not mature. That is different. And also, the other thing that is also when you also sense the readiness for a wedding. Because again, if you also inform people too early and you are planning to do a courtship for 3 years, you put yourself under pressure from parents. Okay, I've known people who have also been known as friends for 5 years by parents and they have no problem. So I'm not trying to put the doctrine here. I'm very open because there are very many case studies. There are people even who met from university first year and they have waited, or they wait up to 6th year. Maybe somebody is doing medicine or architecture, 6 years, and you hear that they are marrying after the 8th year, after 2 years after working. Others even met in primary, everybody went their way, or secondary, then later they come back together. However, whatever, but I'm just giving you some thoughts. But couples are different. They are as different as with the numbers of couples that exist. But if it is a fresh one, a fresh scenario, where the couple does not know one another, parents have never met, and you are supposed to meet the parents for the first time, I would give you a few hints. First, the visits must be done for the purpose of bonding, not just giving marriage approval. Now that is something that people have missed a lot. You see people do visits, instead of doing visits to bond with the parents and friends of that partner, they are doing it so that they can be given a marriage approval. Now, that is why you hear some young people, ukimwambia, you can make 6 visits to your in-law, anasikia hapana, ukifanya nini? But how many times can you visit a friend? Unlimited. Actually, because the purpose is to create friendship. And I hope you up to now you have created friendship. Personally, I'm not saying if you never went my way, don't worry. And if you feel like it is not the way, you do your way. But let me share with you what worked for me, and it has worked for many. Personally, I went alone. I don't, without uncles, nobody. Because first of all, I knew I'm not going to stay with this father-in-law or mother-in-law, courtesy an uncle. I'm not going to stay with them, courtesy an auntie or a friend. I have to know them myself. And they must know who is taking their daughter. So I did an intentional visit alone. The best way, first of all, go alone. Yeah? Tell them, I have fallen in love with your daughter. I am so and so. Let them ask you and pin you down in any question they want. Let them pin you down on your career, on your background. And that platform should be the purpose of bonding. Just like the way you meet a friend in the city and you begin to introduce yourself. And it is also a marketing affair. You must market yourself. There are people who go to fathers-in-laws and they sit like this. And they expect the father through the word of knowledge, you know what you think, what you want. It is a marketing affair. The way you marketed yourself to your wife to be, brother, that is how you market yourself to their parents. Let them know you. Let them know your beliefs. Let them know where you came from. Because one of the problems that you hear when people are being locked the last day, it's just reactions of parents who are not satisfied and who want to frustrate this thing, or they want to throw their last kick to be felt. Because they were never made part of it from day one. Now that is what I did. I went. Okay, people even say you cannot sleep in your father-in-law's house. Just forget all those things. Me, I went and I told them, because I came from Mombasa that time, all the way to Meru. And I knew I would not come back easily. I told them I'm going to stay there, and I slept there as a guest. We had a lengthy day, lengthy night. And the following day again, we went to the shamba. We discussed with them. I told them what I'm doing as a pastor, what I'm working for. Now, by the time I was leaving on the following day in the afternoon, they said, we have a son. We bonded so well that the other visits can shock you. I was not even present in some of them. Because they had no fear at all. Because they had known me. I gave my story like a CV. I'm just saying, see yourself going for an interview. The way you present the certificates and prove that you can do that job. That is how you should see that forum of your father-in-law and mother. You must talk. And possibly the first day you go with a gift. Do you know that lightens even your bridal price? What we call dowry. Why? Because they have already known you are a giver. So me, I went with a shopping. So they knew the son who has come will also be bringing some shopping. The other thing I also say is impression. Just like in an interview. You don't have the second chance to create the first impression. Because you don't have the second chance to create the first impression. Ladies, there are people in a certain community that will not buy you and I'm not saying trousers are bad. But now what I was sharing yesterday, culture. There are some people who have been thrown out by grandmothers simply because they came wearing a trouser. And I'm not saying trousers are bad. Or a tight skin or something. Or a hanging t-shirt. Tumbo cut. Then you hear them saying, unataka kuoa kahaba? na vita inaanza hapo, na si ati ni dada tu, ni vile alisema weekend wacha niende. Why don't you wear the way you wear in an official way that day? So you must understand the culture of your family, the mother-in-law. Both, by the way, it is both ways. I'm not saying just on the side of the lady. When you see yourself that way, and then you see in your imagination, you should know that you are talking to a new person who wants to understand you. I went one time, I think one of the last forums I went, families. It was a very unfortunate incident where somebody comes with a team to introduce. The man does not speak, and the man who spoke, the person who is marrying does not speak. And when he spoke, the one who spoke on his behalf started saying, kwetu atulipangi dawari. Imagine that was the first greeting. And the muzee akaharibika kabisa, akasema kwendeni kabisa. Kweli nani niwaambia ninakuja kutafuta vitu? And these are born again people. One of them was a pastor. And I was now part of the relatives on this side. I was so ashamed. That time, this is a new person. The person I'm talking about was just hearing about them. At least if he had even come earlier, then they came with the elders who spoke like that. That is different. If you see a marketing campaign of a product, new product, launch, what do you see? Billboards, branding, flyers. What are they trying to do? They are trying to bring people's hearts to this product. The same way you should see yourself. You should not think they should know. They should have known me. If Jesus needed John the Baptist, the Son of God, who was declared in Genesis and then prophesied to by 16 major and minor prophets, and yet Jesus, when he came, he needed John the Baptist to introduce him. That is how intense PR is. So you need to think that way. When you think that way, even when you go to a place and they start asking you questions, you will answer. So as you speak, sometimes you don't even know. Try to get where people can connect. Yeah, so you don't know. But if I went and kept quiet, I say, I'm a man of God, you must know. Touch not the anointed and do the prophets no harm. That is very important. So you create a rapport, you create a good first impression, you share yourself, you become you become open, convincing talk, good first impression from dressing to talk, openness, don't also allow pressure and tension. Most of the people who succeed in interviews are very free even with the interviewers. There is that liberty because they are seen not to have anything to fear. And when you are confident anyway, you know that, and the Lord is on your side, that nobody can dismiss you. The purpose is to cultivate friendship and a long-term relationship. Long-term relationship. That means long-term means you must be very strategic in the way you are handling the time. Now, if you want to have a friend, what does the Bible say? He who wants to have a friend must himself be friendly. That is what the Bible says. So what you are doing, the first visit or the second, whatever, you are creating new friendships. Now, not only with the immediate parents, that also goes to the brothers. You can also seem to know brothers and sisters of your spouse, including their small boys and children, and you become friends. Hao ndio watakutetea. You are sending, it's diplomacy. And some people reject themselves before they are rejected. You go there with the rejection, then you stay in a corner somewhere, kaona baridi. And then you stay, hivi watu wanaanza kusema, huyu mtu alikuja amekimya hivi kuna kitu anaficha. Let me tell you something. There is a way you can present yourself that even if people want to reject you, they can't. In those visits, you must also plan them well. Spread them well. The first visit is you. The second visit can be you together with your parents. Maybe the third one can be together with uncles and other people now. Where also your mother, the mother-in-law on the other side, also parents-in-law, also bring their own group, and then you are able to meet. I would also like to say this, that one of having a final event works very well. Why? I'll talk to you about a wedding shortly. The purpose of a wedding is information. It is very embarrassing for people who used to know you before as a single person. They still refer you as a kijana or a girl when you are married. Simply because in your community where you came from, nobody knows you married. Now, if you create a good base of courtship, it is a very strong takeoff. So you will be having two layers: courtship and visits, bonding between parents. You are ready to have two layers on which you build your foundation of marriage. Don't forgetting during the courtship we said you are bringing on board the network between uncles, brothers of both sides. By then it reaches a level where people love each other so much within the family that even if you want to tell them you want to divorce, they can refuse. Atakwambia we kaeni hivyo lakini si tutaendelea kuishi na si tunajuana na hawa. You find it so difficult for you to live and quit. Because even if you try, the bond you created during courtship is so strong that they even love one another, and even whether you are there or not, they will be meeting. And you just be feeling very shy that you cannot meet. Now, I think you have understood why parents react. The other thing that makes parents react now is what I was saying, the emotional attachment, friendships. Sometimes you may meet a parent who loves their daughter so well, so much. The daughter has been there for them, or the son has been there for them, taking care of them. Then when you come, you want to look like you are the one who is coming to separate them immediately. Later there will be, because the man must leave and wife must leave. But if you mishandle that exit, clause and transition, it can be very painful, and people react. And that is where even dowries go up, the bride price, because it's one of there is no relationship here. So let's put the best price tag and put everybody in his corner. Let me talk now about dowry. Now, when it comes to bridal prices, it is first of all biblical. Now, in different cultures, very interesting, I call them covenant gifts. I don't even call them bride price. I call them covenant gifts. Let me use a better word so that I remove people from buying. There are 7 things that represent a marriage as a covenant. Let me connect the two now. So, in this wedding here, you are going to be using his name because he's the stronger party in the covenant. And that is how we shall announce you as a couple with his name. Number 2, there were gifts. Tribes would give each other gifts. So it's a seed of diplomacy. Bride price, or what we call a covenant, hiyo zawadi zinapeanangwa. I don't like to even to show them as a bride price. Ni kama unakuja kulima ili upewe bibi. You are actually exchanging gifts as a way of connecting. The Bible says a gift of a man shall make him stand before kings. Even in the Old Testament, people used to come and dance before the king and drop gifts. That is how you see Solomon was very rich. The queen of the south came with gold, other people used to come. And not that Solomon did not have. Even if you are marrying a family in a family that is very rich, they would desire to see some level of gifting, whether it is small or big. And if you begin those which are unofficial, when the official one comes, you may find They may even tell you what you have given is enough. Then there was an agreement. That is why we shall sign a certificate. There will be a certificate. And those of you who have not officiated your marriages, certificates are very important. It's a sign of a covenant. So I'm tying now two subjects at the same time. Visits and the subject about wedding as a covenant. I've brought it because of bride price, what people call dowry. There was also a ceremony in any covenant. That is why you see whenever there were tribes and whenever tribes would meet to do a covenant between each other, there was a ceremony. Now, mostly even today, even when a country is signing an agreement, even in state houses, you see a ceremony, a passing over parade, and or a ceremony of ministers. There were also witnesses. That is why now the issue of people coming for your wedding is important. I tell people, even if you want to be so private, at least have 10 people, minimum, the official people, but again have other witnesses, and don't run away from a wedding because of catering. People can even take a soda. It's not a must that people must stay in branded tents. You can even do it in church, and people take a soda, or water, or sweets, or juice, and you dilute it. Then exchange of vows. That is how you shall exchange vows. And also the sharing of a meal. Even business is dealt with in presence of a meal. Then there is the blood union, which comes with the first sexual intercourse between as a sign. And in our covenant between us and Jesus, Jesus shed his own blood. Then a memorial, there is a ring. For us, memorial yetu ni cross of Jesus Christ. That is the cross. When you see the cross, you remember the price was paid. So, and again, there are memorials like the Holy Communion that we do and all these things. So why I was sharing that, because gifts is part of a covenant. The other involvement after you have brought the gifts, I would caution you as believers, don't do those things. Because some of them are now entered into whatever we call invoking of spirits, traditional gods. And if you feel it's very critical, nobody hates money. You can even tell them, if you find it is bringing a problem, that if you bring that honey, initially it was being brought and you must go with it someone to do something, then you tell them, okay, how much is the honey here? Who can supply honey here? How much? This magic. Okay, what can be supplied is here. You can, if it is very controversial, I have advised people who have asked things that were meant to be sacrifices. I told them, just negotiate for money. That gives you away again from those links. But there are those people who insist you must bring one that is alive. It's okay. It's not a big deal. If you also come in another way, now, in our language, in our culture in Kikuyu, they say, it is cut the way it has come. Now, you don't expect to bring 5-10 Range Rovers of your friends, and you are coming to tell them you are giving them one goat of 3,000. So, again, logics. They say it is cut the way it has come. So if you package yourself mighty, you must also give a mighty thing. Otherwise it will look madharau. Nasikia watu wakisema, hawa watu wameleta hizo magari zote hapa na pengine ulikuwa wamefanya kaa haya. Then again, you should not exaggerate who you are. They must see who you are, the way you are. If you bring like 10 Range Rovers and then you start telling them ati wakikwambia 10,000 unaanza kunegotiate, wataanza kusema huyu ni madharau huyu. So people have messed also in those kind of things. They want to show off to father-in-laws, and they don't want to part with a gift that is ranging to their packaging. So those are some of the small messes people have had. The other thing, you must have the right person to talk on your behalf. There are people who really are messy. Some people are very messy. They don't have protocol. They carry jokes where they are not supposed to be. There are people who know the language even of their people. Those are the kind of people you need to get. People who honor, who speak with respect. Church people, because I'm talking to most of the people we are joining our church people. Don't bring spiritism in that platform. Don't start saying, like I've just said that case study where somebody just began by saying, we don't pay dowry. We don't believe in this. We don't believe in buying a girl. Surely, that is the first greeting. Even before you talk about the climate. So those are tough. People you must choose the right person to speak. And that is why I was saying, if you have spoken before and you are represented, it is possible for them to say, no, let the kijana talk. The kijana I have even gone to a place where they said, wacha kijana ongea, nyinyi watu wameona heshima, ule ndiye ana heshima. Because they know him. And everybody here is misrepresenting this person. And finally, in our African culture, in India, it is the women who take dowry to men. Yeah. It's also good to give you, because this video, JBA, we are going to have branches all over the world. It's good to know all these things. So depending on which place. Why I'm saying that is because I also insist in Kenya and in Africa where we take gifts to the girl side, the girl side must package a gift to the man's side. Because they are covenant gifts. Even if it's a shopping of 1,000 shillings, or milk, or sugarcane, whatever, even if it's products from the farm. And if you are very low, get what has been brought. And make sure they can live with something. That brings what we call a win-win situation, and it is used the covenant gifts. So that is my take. I would like to know from you what was your experience, and whether it is something we can borrow from. So when you do that, I can tell you for you, let me finish by saying this. Some of the parents you will go to, they have been looking forward for their daughters to be married. So they are not there to circumvent or to frustrate. But because people go there with a disrespect and rebranded and can I say, confusion in branding and diplomacy, they take advantage now. Mbaya ni mbaya. Umekuja na hii fujo na sisi tunakupatia yako. And that is very important. So I think with that I can close that part. As I said again, those of you who are watching this video for the purpose of being officiated in JBA Church, you can ask the further questions to the facilitator of this forum, the pastor in charge, or the deacon in charge, or the couples in charge of this forum, or the men's fellowship, the women's fellowship. You can ask them these questions, or you can actually get answers in this forum. Or if you are watching it at home, to come and meet the pastor, you can have questions about that visit. And if you had a challenge, I remember there are places, I think twice, I was involved in even traveling all the way to Nyahururu to meet a father-in-law on behalf of a certain lady who needed to be married. That is what I could say. Now let's come to the wedding. The ceremony now itself. I have said the wedding is a covenant ceremony. To confirm again, I've said there was an exchange of names, the signing of memorial, the ring, the agreement, which is a certificate we give. There was a blood union of covenants. That is why even Jesus shed his own blood for us. And the first sexual the engagement between a couple is what is called the union of blood. And then that is why it should not be done before. Then the ceremony, that is why you must have people. Then there are witnesses. That is why you shall have the best couple to sign the certificate, and also people coming. Then there is a sharing of a meal. And then there was a celebration. I had not mentioned that. And an altar was raised. And gifts were given to the people and also to God. Now, with that understanding then, there has to be a ceremony. And the spirit of excellence must rule in the ceremony. Whether it is a small event, big event, perfection, the spirit of excellence. No loss. I've just been doing an article now on excellence. I will be teaching it about business more. Once you have a good ceremony, people will talk about it. People will be left with a good appetite if you kept time. If you release people in good time, when there is order, there is organized. That's why also I do my best to make sure that the church service is well done, the sermon is good, interesting. You give flavor. You give flavor to the service as a church. That is why we give it a momentum, the praise and worship team. We like to talk to them early, to be there in good time, our technical. We don't like sound messes. We tell our technicians to be here 1 hour before, minimum. Every sound tested, so that the time of the program begins is supposed to begin. It's not time for sound check. It's time to begin. So there needs to be excellence, and for excellence there has to be planning. Now, for you to plan well, you need people and a strategic plan. For you to have a good event, you need the right people and the right plan to work with. The first group that begins in your committee is what we call the bridal team. Sometimes they are not directly sitting, but they are part of your team that you are working with. So I want us to look at how do you choose a bridal team. First of all, let's begin with the best couple. You choose a best couple, people who can be available for you. There are people who choose very prominent personalities who will never be found. And even that particular day, you hear they have an international meeting in Dubai. The other thing about a best couple, you also choose people who have got a good relationship, who have enjoyed a good relationship in marriage. Because when something happens, these are the same people you go to. And you share your challenges or your successes with. Best couples are very important in that level. People who are available for you. People who also enjoy a marriage, a good marriage. They may not be a couple like per se. They may be married, one person to another family, and they become witnesses. It's not necessary that they must be a couple like this. But however, a couple is better. But I have also gone to places where somebody just chooses, this is my best man, and they are not couples. The other thing, it is good for the bridal team, and excluding the best couple, to be financially able to buy their attires. Because sometimes I went to a wedding that had very many people, very many children, and it's also not bad because he was able to manage. I think I saw over 24 children. Bridal team ilikuwa watu kama 20. Now, can you imagine you have those kind of people and they cannot buy their suits? That is another budget for you. So, but if somebody is able, then it is just a matter of making them available. Then also people who are disciplined in an event and also disciplined in preparation. Somebody who cannot even have time to go and fit a suit in a tailor's place or in a shop, then how do you expect them to be available in your wedding in good time? I have seen a wedding where somebody is saying, we have a problem because the people we chose are not available to go to the shop to measure clothes. Then forget them. Then also choose people who also have got a good testimony. You can also consider for the best couple and bridal team administrative and leadership ability. If you look at the wedding, even the involvement of a pastor, when he is calling people come, the bridal team join kwa madhabahu. If you watu wa kuzuba can let you down. Sometimes they are the same people to take care of gifts. If you don't have a gift table, maybe they are the people to. You need people who are sharp administratively. The life can become easier. Then also people who are presentable, and also people who can stand with you in prayer and spiritually also. And good friends who can be easy with you in the pulpit, in the place. Now that also goes to the men, ladies, and children. They can be relatives and friends, whoever. The whole thing are people who can be manageable and who receive instructions. That is important with your bridal team. You can also look at humor as part of it. Because sometimes I see nowadays people like to do a dance. So if you get somebody who is so rigid, they can make everything look boring. So the sense of humor is also a consideration somewhere. I see people bring a lot of humor in those kind of matches and dances. You know, the weddings now, they have changed a lot. Before, during our time, the more rigid the bride would be, the more serious it was. Nowadays, it is different. The more flexible the bridal team looks, the more the wedding looks glamorous. Now let's look at the wedding committee. First of all, the purpose of the wedding committee is not to package the vision of the wedding. I have begun with what they are not. Right now, with the handout that I'm giving you here, and what we shall go through the departments, you are supposed to come up with, you as a couple first, with what you want in the wedding. When we look at food, venue, if you bring all these discussions to a committee, you will need 20 meetings before you come to a conclusion. So you must know what you want. That is why this handout, which you are going to be given today, is very crucial, because it is going to tell us what, it is going to help you to manage the event. You decide the clothes, where they are coming from, the venue. This also helps you to come up with a budget before you meet the people, because you have also done your own window shopping. You know who you can cater for the best. Before you start now shortlisting, sometimes wedding committees have turned into a tender meeting, where people now have to, huyu anataka kupush mtu wake arete catering, mwingine anataka kupush mtu wake. So before you unlock yourself from that group, you have a big problem. If there is going to be an alternative, let it now come as an alternative within the meeting, but you are already set. You know who can bring flowers. You know who can cook well. You have already checked them. You have even attended their event according to your budgets. Nyi suti zenyu mnajua ni ngapi. That is one. The other thing you should never do in a wedding committee, don't bring personal items to a wedding committee, like your suit. like your ring, like dowry. When you bring those things to a wedding committee, people think that you would rather use that money and talk to the treasurer, musaidiane huko chini, akupige jeki, but don't bring it as an item. Because the moment you bring a committee and you start telling them, I want, nataka munisaidie kwenda nyumbani kwetu, nataka sijui now people start seeing you differently. Nguo sijui ya harusi itanunuliwa na nani? Don't ever bring those budgets there. You can work with the treasurer to get the surplus to support you, but don't bring them there, because sometimes people feel watu ambao wanataka tuwasaidie kila kitu wataendelea baada ya hapa. Siasa zinaanza hapo. The other thing, don't allow the committee to look like the ones who are going to decide everything about that wedding. So you must come. This handout you are going to get today, and those of you who are watching us in this forum, if you're in JB, we are going to join you the wedding here. We shall give you this handout. You go through it using the training of today. You package your wedding plan. And out of your wedding plan, this is what you present to the committee now, personalized and packaged for you. You fill in all these empty spaces, and you have a wedding budget. Now, what should they do? They share the responsibilities of the day. That means they help you in various things. They can, even before the wedding, they can be part of the committee to follow things for you. In the material day, they are limited because of movement. But before then, they can also be part of the committee, the bridal team. But the committee itself are there. They are your ground soldiers in ushering, in cooking, in catering, in the event, receiving your guests. Number 2, to show warmth in the fellowship. That sometimes you need to get a committee, especially the top officials, must be very hospitable, very warm. There was a wedding committee that I attended. They had chosen a chairman who was very humorous. People were even missing to go to that wedding committee because they had a very good chairman, very humorous. Everything, even if he was asking money, people would give money, but he's just joking. He's not those people, right? Any. So warmth, to give warmth. They also assist in planning. From the major plan, you can also have what we call subgroups. The decoration team can meet alone. Like I was telling you, actually, I would say we had 6 major meetings, but the effective ones were 4. Because after the first meeting, I had an attack. Somebody started trying to attack our wedding committee, so the first 2 were not effective. But after that, we grew up, created the committee because of the things I'm sharing, getting organized. I grew the committee from, I think, 5 people first, then 20. Then the last one had almost 5 people because of a certain attack. After that, we ended up with a committee of almost 300 people. Yeah, so, and this is what helped me to keep that committee. Sometimes you can even have somebody to share a word of motivation. Beside the chairman, you can have somebody who can be sharing a word to the committee. It's like you are building a momentum. Somebody who can encourage people about giving or supporting, just that, or just a general word. Then also controlling. They are there to control good stewardship of gifts. They make sure things don't go wrong the day of the wedding. Then coordination. They help you coordinate from one thing to another, from one department to another, the connection to another. Then also to pray for the wedding. Because chariots and horses are set for the battle, the victory comes from God. And also to participate in giving. Now, let me share something here. Don't start setting up a committee with targets that everybody who comes in that committee will give 10,000. There are people in that committee who will not give amount, but their participation there is so crucial. There are people who say everybody kwa committee atoe elfu kumi. That is how people run away from committees, because they never came there to give 10,000. They came there that they can be an usher, they can be a counselor, they can help you accommodate your parents somewhere, maybe they have a house. If you take people in that level, you are going to have a very good committee. There are those who are blessed who can give more even. But if you gather people and you start telling them they must give 10,000, and others are just there because they love you, they will start running away. And that is how you start killing the momentum of a committee. So even when you are calling people, call them because of the diversity of strength they can bring. Others are just there to keep the thing warm. Kuonekana kuna watu. Because you may also be having that money, by the way, but you are lacking a forum or people you can talk to and you can involve yourself with. So that is what you need to look for. That is generally now. Now let's go to the specifics. First of all, the top group. You must have a top group that you can trust. The top officials you choose can crash a whole thing. So the chair must be somebody that is very close to you and a person who has managed things. A chairman of a wedding committee can kill it. That top group, chairman, secretary, treasurer, and the committee, the main committee group. They are called leaders of all the departments. Somebody you can be able, there needs to be in that core group a treasurer who can take care of money well, who cannot. There are also incidents where money has been raised and given and somebody disappears. Yeah, that happens a lot. So nowadays people are very careful about who receives the money. Probably you see even sometimes in a funeral you see a very close friend is the one receiving money. It's not that, don't feel like you are entering into nepotism. Jamii ya family. No. As long as it works, you can get even your own brother who cannot run away with the money to be the treasurer, a very close friend, because sometimes zinasimamishwa. There is an incident like that happened. Now, let's look at the departments that are necessary for a wedding. That's just like an event. Protocol. Protocol department is the MC docket. The master of ceremony, I've seen cases where people hire a master of ceremony who was never in the committee. And when he comes, because he was not oriented properly in that morning, he becomes messy. Because he is even overruling things that the committee made. Decisions that the committee made. So mostly, even if you are going to get a celebrity, a master of ceremony, the deputy must be somebody who has been sitting in the committee. Because else things will be messed when you are there and you cannot all the time be stopping people from making certain announcements or regular talks. It's somebody who understands the whole picture of this wedding. He knows even where of the parents to be picked, watakuwa wapi, si hata kuuliza wazazi wako wapi, mzazi ni nani, and it is in a public. They should even be knowing these are the parents. Yeah, those kind of things. So protocol is the master of ceremony, a man of integrity, good communicator, courteous, sometimes also authoritatively wise, who can communicate certain directions, an administrator, flexible, disciplined, who can also keep time. They work with the pastor on the seating arrangement in church and also with the group, the caterers and the service providers. And they also confirm that every seat is available and marked and labeled for various groups on your behalf, but of course with your direction. You must have the lists of the VIPs. How many people are coming from your side? How many people are coming from your side? How many people need VIP reception? All that you should know before. Now this is what you should know before you go to a committee, because those are the things they'll be asking. If we are taking care of guests in church, how many are we talking about? How many people are coming from your side, his side? Invites, general invites. Then again, they are the same people who ensure that the brands are done well and the decorations and all the inventory of the wedding is ready. Cushions za maombi, pens for signing certificates, if it is candles, ceremony, ziko. They are the ones to do the checklist of the day. So these are very strong docket. Then the second department is hospitality. These are people who deal with accommodation and movement of your guests, close guests. They take care of parents from home to the city where, like now, we are going to be having, in this case, we have parents and families from Kisii. We are also going to have parents from Taita and visitors from Taita. They are coming to Nairobi. Now, if you don't delegate properly, you are going to find that even the last day, you have some parents. I have even met parents stranded after a wedding because the guys have gone for their honeymoon and they did not have the person to take them to the bus station. Especially when you are doing a wedding where you don't live or where they are not operating from. You have traveled. As we had, originally I gave you my place testimony. We came, originally home was Embu, Meru. We are doing it in Mombasa. By God's grace, that is where I was. But because I did not want to be involved in the nitty-gritties of the day, I just asked my wife to give me all the list of all the people who are coming from Meru. And I also had a list from people who are coming from Embu. I gave the list like this to the hospital, to this department. We assigned the people to where they will stay. This team must even know the church. Yeah. The venues, both venues, they must know the church and the catering venue. Then the same team that does sourcing for accommodation, whether it is in friends' houses, relatives, they also hotels, schools, whatever. Also checking the wedding budgets. There should not be surprises that you have bills to pay. For hotels that were, decisions that were made for people to be booked in big hotels that were not planned for. Then ensure all bills are paid for accommodation and other things, other commitments. It's the same team to make sure. Yeah, then also, sometimes to reduce hospitality budgets, you can identify people from the, like, probably people who come from Kisii, whom the parents know. They can also be able to give a list. People from Taita who are in Nairobi can also give their homes. So that is a way of also reducing budgets, because these are a very sensitive budget and they can really be blown up. And it can also come with many surprises of the last day. In my handout, you are going to see I have a table where you fill in the car, the registration, the driver, the group allocation, and the routing. The car that is being given, who is going to be handling it? Which group has it been given to care for? That now, this is what the transport manager must be able to bring to the committee. Then the program for fueling, washing the cars and servicing must already been confirmed by the transport manager. Usiwe kulipeanwa gari ambayo hata siku hiyo it's not working, ama ina insurance, ama iko na shida. So that checklist is very important. Then they confirm the hired or the given out cars are going to be available in that day. Then the vehicles, routes are clear, schedules. The drivers must also know where they are coming from, the program of the day. And a strong communication person who is also handling, not you. Because if you put yourself in that level, that day you'll be so stressed. So these responsibilities must leave you to other people who can handle the same level of information. Then also processions. The handout has got something about procession. There's a procession of transport between the bride to your place, your place to her place to church. Now, the vehicles that maybe move that side, move you to her place, may be different from vehicles that move you together to the church. So that kind of truth must be known in the transport committee. And that's why I've written here the routing. Procession 1. And which car will be first. People waste time with just arrangement of vehicles. So please check that you have a strong transport manager. That is very important. Also the procession now from maybe the church to the photography area to the place of reception. Then after now those cars have joined, again who is leading? Who is going where? Who is under command? Others also give people the wrong direction. Watu wanapotea. Unasikia gari zote zilipotea. Zikaenda njia ingine. So you can have very stressful wedding. You have all the vehicles available, but the poor planning and logistics of the day. The other department that is key is decoration. The people who handle the vehicles, they handle the church, they also handle the reception. It must be an organized group. They already know the cars. In fact, even when you begin to engage them, they ask you, how many cars are we decorating? Those small details, you get people who have done it before and they understand. There are people who give out their cars to a wedding and then after that there is a case of a car that was misused. So that can also bring stress. Then now they also give you a decoration plan. Where are there balloons? Are there fresh flowers? They define all that. So that is now can be given to a service provider or somebody who can be able to master that art. Now there is also what we call the food department, which is cooking and serving. Now let me say something here about the number of people, especially with food, because that's where the budgets begin to go up. Now, if it's a caterer, try to get a caterer that you have seen somewhere else who can provide fresh food, good quality, and serving ability. People have been let down by this team badly. People have given over money to caterers who have disappeared with the money, or people who will never even show up. You have to do another thing, or who cannot keep the contract of the number of people to be served. So this is something, another cartel of weddings. People have presented themselves as service providers who don't measure up to what they say. So I usually advise, don't entrust any event to people that you have not seen what they are doing. Even quality of food. We have had weddings after the wedding where people have to actually cannot even go to church the following day. The whole group is having stomach runs. And the parents. We finished a wedding one time in Mombasa and everybody was in a house for a week because of food poisoning. Yeah. So you should avoid those things by looking at fresh food, supplies, well done, and facilities. Now, if you have a mega wedding and you want to bring the cost down, you can use my style, my old school style. What I did, we had 3 levels of catering because of the budget. I said, now I have a big problem here because the people are saying who are coming are very many, and I may not manage all of them. So what I did, I had 3 levels of budgets. I had one where people would just take a soda and a donut. I had a second one with a pilau but with minimum meat. And I had a third one which was fully fledged. It was chapati, everything, stew. Yeah, then, beside that, I had also another one. And don't start pegging your money to a service provider, then you cannot be able to pay the balance. I kept checking our accounts to make sure that I can float in one of them. So what did we do? We got some chefs from some top hotels in Mombasa, like 5. And we bought them materials to cook. So the shopping brought down the cost very low. And the chef was just to be given an appreciation, and the 2 others gave their services because they were church members, and one of them was my friend. So you can go the way of a caterer, service provider, or you can go a way of looking for a chef. You buy them all the shopping lists from a wholesaler. And then you do an inspection. Somebody you can trust. And now that is where the women also of the village come. They can come and support that because with catering they can only wait. But these other one, they can be involved. So you can do those events without, if you are doing in a city, sometimes that's what I've said about bringing things can be complex. But it's not. Even here, that's what we do in church. I'm not giving you stories. Here in church, when you hear there is a students' camp, we don't get a caterer, we just get a chef. So you look at the quality of food, the inventory, and also the other things now, like facilities, utensils, quality of utensils, meza. Now that is another group now, because sometimes you get a caterer who does not have facilities. But that group is very important, where is the facilities, people who provide, service providers, tents, seats, brands of the day, catering, and the people who do the food and serving. Now, if you go the way of cooking locally with the local people, there are also people who serve, who now hire utensils. Or you can buy paper plates. So people are served with the paper plates, and that matter ends there. So learn to do big things, but in a cost-effective way, and God will bless you. The other group, the other department, I've actually talked about 3 now there. There can be a cooking, serving, and also facilities, committee. These are the people who are just checking the seats, the tents, and also the decorations that go with it. Then we have a technical committee that deals with video, and photography. And those who are watching me, the person who is recording us, right now as we speak, has got that facility. We can be able to help in that direction by linking you to people who can do good videography, photography. Now that is also the same thing. If you want photography, there are 2 ways about it. Siku hizi, akiwa ni kamera, ikiwa mbaya kabisa, unaweza tafuta mtu wako na simu na stand akuchukulie. But you are blessed in Jesus' name. But there are people who can give you a service at very low cost. Photographs, somebody can take you photos with the digital, akipatie CD. Utakuja kuchagua ni zipi mtachukua. So whichever level that you decide to go, that's another group. If it's a professional photographer, they show you photos they have taken, maybe albums they have presented, without surprises. That is the only thing that probably shocked us one time. In our wedding, we had on cameras. We had so many photographers. Then somebody decided to bring a professional photographer who charges a lot. Okay, he did a good job. He brought all the photos in an album, but the invoice was shaking. And we had not known about it. So those are some of the things that you should tie. You should agree with all the service providers. So what I mean as I conclude, even to this couple and you can do a big thing, but with a cost-effective budget. And especially if you follow those ways and priorities. Don't start getting service providers, you start putting deposits before you meet the committee, and then you start giving them invoices. They will run away from you. They will not buy what you want to sell to them. Of course, certificates we prepare. What we do in church, we give you a dummy. We give you a dummy certificate because we don't like to make spelling mistakes on the main certificate. Unajaza hiyo ndio tunatumia kutype so that we don't make mistakes on the original. So those of you who join with us before we, as the day draws nearer, we give you a dummy certificate. You fill the names of your parents properly. We use that to type and to prepare. And of course, there is the preparation of the notification to Attorney General, which is done a month before. And you come to us, we give you our license number, the license book number. Then we are able to, you are going to go with it to the registrar. Before we used to join weddings here, and decisions used to be made locally, but nowadays because of wrong or delayed presentations or feedback, the AG came up with another way that you must also register there and register again in the church with different costs. If you are going to do a wedding in the garden, they have extra costs. If you are going to do it in church only, there are some basic costs. Because we are doing this video general, we don't know when those prices are revised. You only get to know when you get there. But they are not, it's not much. In church, we don't charge for certificate. That's another thing. Then things like photography lists. Photography lists is, you must have the list of the people who are going to get photographs. Now, today's incident, people do this. They leave the church, they go to a certain venue, and they do their photographs. Now, if you don't have an organization and a quick work, people spend there forever. Like 5 hours. By the time you come to the reception, time has gone, people are leaving. So I advise this all the time, especially on photographs. Do the basic photographs, even in church, and even in people ambao wanataka. Take the minimum time in that transitional time before people settle in the reception. Finish your wedding early, like 4. Release everybody at 4. You go back to your hotel where you will stay and have another 2 hours for photography. When you are confirming with your caterer, make sure that the food for the high tables is well reserved. I also attended a wedding the other day where people in the community just rushed into a meeting, food place, and ate food before the main people came. So by the time before the main people came, the parents and the high table, there was no food. The other thing that brings confusion is other items like carpets, cushions for prayer, rings. Now, rings. I always advise a couple to only give the rings in the sanctuary to those boys, but don't start giving them in the houses. They forget them. The other day I was calling one of my friends, relatives. Nikasikia he's a very high manager. Akaniambia amina dudhi. What is happening Nduthi? Walisahau, mtoto alisahau rings. And they only came to know when they were just about to join the wedding. So those small things are crucial. So I always advise people, you carry your rings wenye wawili ama mmoja wenu ndiye amebeba, mweke mahali ambapo watoto, na watoto wasipewe waanze kucheza nazo wote na hapo. They should only be given when it is time to present the rings. Because mtu anaweza enda choo nayo na aache huko. Now the other thing that is very important about a wedding ceremony is the prior arrangement before the event itself. If you are doing a wedding on Saturday, Friday, counter checking everything. Have parents arrived? Don't have a program where parents are coming that morning. The other thing also that delays weddings is grooming of hair and haircuts. If people are coming from various places, I also advise that people sleep in the same place. If they are young people, let more people stay together that evening. The ladies can be in one house, so that even if the salonist is coming to one place, to avoid sijui kuna saluni ilifungwa, ule alitakiwa kutengenezwa nywele huko. People get somebody who is a beautician who comes and handles the team in one place. The men also, if they can be in one place, either very early in the morning or sleep in one house, life becomes easier than trying to connect in the morning. Those are things I did. Na wale ambao hawakufollow, because I had a big house, I had already asked them to come. Those who never followed, they had to follow me in the line. They were fixing their ties when we were already in the place. Because time yetu ikifika ya kuondoka, tunaondoka. If we said we meet in bride's place, the groom's place at 7, 8 ndio tunaondoka kwenda kwa nini, we move. Whoever is there, we move. Now let me give you a scenario here. You want to reach JB at 10 o'clock. What is the master plan? And I even have it here. I have even given an indication here of how it can be. I like to read this because I give this as a handout, but it's practical. Wake up time, 5 o'clock for both the bride and groom. Wash and dress up. By 6, you are set to be released. Now, the other things are logistics now. Maybe the family, parents are assembling. But as they assemble, you are dressed up and your team. Akiwa ni nywele mlitengenezwa jana usiku, touch-ups in the morning. So let's give it, not to be too ambitious, let's give it by 7. Everybody is ready to leave the house. In church, actually, what pastors have been doing now, they have been giving deposits. 10,000 deposit, refundable. If you keep time, you are given. If you don't, you forget it. So, to finish, is that there is a lot of coordination checklist. For us, we have provided a checklist for you. Even with dashes and targets. Showing you what you need to do and what you need to do. This is our handout, and this is a very big support to the couple. Even the checklist of the day, the vows, and even the checklist for the minister in charge and the people who are involved. So this is my gift to you and to the couple. Amen. Yes, good. You are the manager. Yes, and in it also we give the letter to the parents, so that they can sign that they have no objection of the date. The parents of so and so, and their number and their telephone number, we can call them to confirm they have given us authority. So even for those who have been watching and working with us, this is what we call a wedding preparation. And if you do it in the way we have said, it will be cost effective. It will be also time effective of the day, and also stress free. As I finish, I would like to say this. I want to give you an assignment. I want you to look at Olympics. I was looking at Olympics, the level of organization of Olympics. These are heathens. Japan, for instance, events very well organized. By the time the 100 meters is leaving, exiting the scene, if it is 400 meters, the team is already being shown in their changing room. These are the second group. By the time they are exiting like this, the other group is coming in. That is how events are done. And sometimes it is just a challenge. I like to see things, even look at Madaraka Day. The dance groups, no waste of time. One transition, another. So I think that is what I should give you as a challenge, biblical challenge and life challenge. That people are doing things in a very excellent way. Very big events, very well coordinated. And can you imagine some people you see in Olympics don't sleep in the same city. They come from another city. But they have already checked the time of movement. Na ukisikia 100 meters inaanza saa moja. Si saa moja na dakika mbili. The gun will be up by that time. Uli ambaye yuko kwisha. That's how the world is operating. Jesus said, unless our righteousness exceeds that of the Pharisees, we have nothing in the kingdom. Pharisees were very articulate. So to those who are joining, who have been with us in this counseling session, you are preparing for your wedding, or you are planning for somebody's wedding, this is how to go about all those things we have said about visits, about how to manage the ceremony itself. Of course, different churches have got different ways of working, but if you work around what I've said, you'll be relevant to every pastor, and to every church, and to every home. And parents, they always like to see order and organization in everything that they do. So we'd like to also pray that your wedding will also be great. The resources will be there. God will give you the right people with the right plan. Just like in HR they say, it's the road to the right hole. You get the right people to fit in all those departments. And I would also like to say those departmental leaders, keep them close. You can have a big group of a wedding committee, but also another smaller group of some top managers whom you can talk to closely. And there needs to be a lot of planning outside the planning committee. But also tailor your clothes according to your size and of your pocket. But allow God to add you surprises as a surplus. So let's pray. Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you because of this sharing about wedding planning, the visits of home visits and planning for the wedding, the checklist and the budgets. Lord, we pray for this couple that you shall also bless them with the right people and the right resources. Even those that are watching, preparing for their wedding, may they also enjoy that which we have shared today and work for them, whether they are going to use service providers or their own domestically packaged service systems of cooking and whatever. Lord, may you give everyone grace for an event that is going to be memorial, with fresh food, keeping time, coordinated arrangements, proper movements, no accidents in Jesus' name. For parents and people who are going to move from places, from the village to the city, or from wherever movements within the city, we pray for journey mercies and safety. And we ask for grace of the day, and all will be done well. In Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Shalom. May the Lord bless you as you join us in the next session as we share now about the marriage life. And now we know that the wedding is done. We are looking at now the marriage life, where we shall look at how to live after a great wedding. Because it's one thing to have a great wedding, it's another thing also to live well in the house. So we shall have now another 10 lessons that are based on life within the house, and how you should relate with each other, and even those that are with us, make sure that you can now watch how life goes on after the wedding. Amen.